Assalamu alaikum. This presentation is about how diet or food fits into the management of diabetes in fasting in the month of Ramadan. Before I get into the diet bit, the first slide, I just want to bring to your attention a few points that are very important. Before the month of Ramadan fast, please ensure that you speak to your family doctors and you take their permission that you are allowed to fast. Remember, our fasts are not the same as a general population fast. Sometimes our family doctors, which are not Muslims, don't understand the concept of fasting. They may think it means just you're not going to be eating a certain type of food group such as grains, or you may not be eating meat during this month. But therefore we must explain to them that Muslim fasts entail no eating and no drinking, not even water, from dawn to dusk. And at this point, these fasts are like 18 and a half hours long. So they are really long. And certain types of medications put you at a very high risk of dehydration. So if you're not drinking for 18 hours and you're on those medications, the doctors must know and they must decide whether it's okay for you to fast or not. So make sure you tell them what your fast is and then decide whether it's okay to fast. And then if they give you permission to fast, they will adjust your medications based on that. So speak to your doctors well before Ramadan starts, not just before Ramadan starts, because they need to understand and it may sometimes take a couple of visits to get your medication adjusted. The next slide is about a few other medical conditions that you must remember. So people who have diabetes have a chronic illness, and Islam does exempt people with acute illness, acutely unwell people, and people with chronic illness for whom fasting may be detrimental. So some of the diabetics may fall into these categories, some may not. Some of you are allowed to fast if you're on diet and certain types of medication. So it's important to make sure that you fall in the categories which is okay to fast. Islam does give us the exemption from fasting. So people who have had severe low blood sugars, or people who have had low blood sugars which are not severe but many low blood sugars, or people whose blood sugar tends to fluctuate a lot or have really high blood sugars, not well controlled diabetes, these people are in a category of people who are exempted from fasting because of the associated complications that can develop out of diabetes. Therefore, please ensure that your doctors take a look at your blood sugars and then give you permission to start fasting. The next slide is on diet. So Ramzan and fasting, unfortunately for us, is not just a spiritual thing, but it's also about food. Food is a very central part, cultural part of South Asian population, and even from the Mediterranean. Food is a very central part of our daily living. So just a few tips that will help you ensure that your meals at Sehri and at Iftar are more healthy, that they don't cause your blood sugars to fluctuate too much, go very high and drop very quickly. Instead, we want your blood sugars to stay stable so that you can focus on your daily work and rather than worrying about your blood sugars. So some of these tips will help you with that. So this slide on diet at Sehri time or Sahur gives us tips of how you can change your diet at Sehri to make it a more well-balanced diet. So the first thing is make sure that you do have Sehri. Don't skip your Sehri meal. Have it as close to the time of closing your fast, and that is what is recommended in Islam as well. So the pre-dawn meal should be at that time and not at midnight or not after you come back from Taraweeh. You can have a small dinner after you come back from Taraweeh, but make sure you get up for Sehri and eat a proper meal at that time, because that's the meal that is sustaining you for the next 18 hours. The main part of our diet is carbohydrates. So when we're having carbohydrates, starches, grains, things like rice, roti, bread, these things need to be made of complex carbohydrates. So if you're having roti made out of wheat flour, or if you're having bread which is white, change these to more complex carbohydrates. So roti should be made out of whole wheat flour. To that you can add a small part. So maybe a quarter of the flour could be soya flour, or it could be black gram flour, or it could be barley flour, jawar flour. These three flours are higher in fiber and they have a little bit more protein. So if you combine a quarter of this to 3 parts or 3/4 of whole wheat flour and then make your roti, these rotis are slightly higher in fiber and have more protein. This sustains your blood sugar better. So when you have rotis made out of wheat flour or durum wheat flour but not whole wheat flour, the blood sugars tend to go up a lot and then drop very quickly. So you're going up and you're coming down. This up and down is not very good for your body. It causes a lot of complications. So you want to avoid this generally all the time, but especially at a time when you're not going to be eating for the next 18 hours, because once your sugars go up and come down, then they are down and you're going to have a low blood sugar during the next 18 hours then. So if you change your roti flour, that is one big change, and it brings a lot of, it has a lot of beneficial effect to your blood sugars. If you're having bread for breakfast, for sehri, make sure it's either whole wheat bread, pumpernickel bread, rye bread are even better. Multi-grain bread, 14-grain bread, 12-grain bread, these are better choices. If you see the texture of the bread is slightly more grainy, those are better choices. They take longer to digest. They don't get your blood sugars to go up and down quickly. They keep them more stable. If you're having pita bread, make sure it's whole wheat pita. If you're having naan, naan is very dense. It has a lot of carbohydrates in it, but there are whole wheat options available as well for that. Rice and rice-based foods, on the other hand, are very fast to digest because there's no fiber in them and there is no protein in them. So I would recommend changing these to using alternate grains such as barley. You can use quinoa, you can use bulgur, and these can be made just like rice. And instead of rice and curry, you have quinoa and curry. So chicken curry on quinoa. The taste is, yes, a little bit different, but they are really healthier choices, and it's worth changing at least sometimes, if not all the time. You can have fruits in the morning. The general rule of thumb for fruit is have fruits with seeds and skin in it, because these fruits with skin and seeds have fiber in them. So for example, the best choices are berries, apple, peach, pear. These are fruits that you eat the skin and the seeds with, so they digest slower. Fruits where you throw away the skin and don't eat the seeds, for example, banana, mango, papaya, melons. These fruits tend to, because there's no fiber, they again tend to take your blood sugars high very quickly. Within a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, your sugars start to go up very quickly, and then they tend to drop very quickly as well. The next food group is dairy, so yogurt and milk. Always make sure you're having skimmed or 1% yogurt and milk. Don't add sugary drinks to your milk. For example, a lot of people add roux afza, or they add Milo, or they add chocolate syrup to their milk. These are just pure sugar. There's nothing else in it. So low-fat products such as 1% milk, 1% yogurt, skim milk, skim yogurt, plain, they are the best choices. Or you can make it into lassi, which is a very good choice as well. But if you're adding some sugar to it, instead of sugar, add sweetener. And if you're adding salt, just like a half a pinch of salt, because too much salt is also not very good for the body. It tends to make your blood pressure go high. The next food group is proteins. This is very important. Without protein in your diet, your meal is not complete, because it's the protein that keeps the sugars really stable. Like fiber helps to keep your blood sugar stable, protein helps to keep your blood sugar very stable as well. It keeps you full longer, and so you're not hungry as quickly as well. So for example, chicken, meat, egg, dal, chickpeas, these are all protein choices. If you're having chicken or meat curry, make sure you cook. Before you cook the chicken and meat, you remove all the fat from it and then you cook it. Eggs, fried eggs should be limited because they have a lot of fat in them when you're frying. But otherwise, if you're boiling your eggs, poaching your eggs, 3 to 4 eggs in a week is a very good choice. A lot of times people ask that the yolk has a lot of cholesterol in it, a yolk has a lot of fat in it. Yes, it does have some, but if you're not adding more fat by frying it, then that amount of fat from the yolk is not so bad. So 3 to 4 times a week, if you're having boiled egg, it's a very good choice. Dals, chickpeas, a cup of those gives you enough protein to keep you going the whole day. They also have a lot of fiber and some carbohydrates, but they're good choices in terms of protein. Cheese is another choice, which is a protein choice, but remember, cheese is very heavy in fat, so always pick low-fat cheese, light cheese. Cottage cheese is a very good option. If that is something that you can incorporate at your sehri meal, that's a very good choice. Vegetables, generally we don't have vegetables unless it's vegetable curry for sehri, but these should be encouraged, because if we need to cut back on the total amount of food that we are eating, we're going to be hungry. So we need to fill up with vegetables. So usually people, instead of losing weight during Ramzan, they tend to gain weight in Ramzan, because even though it's 2 meals instead of 3, you end up eating a lot more and a lot more of fried food. So that's why vegetables is a very good option in the form of salads, or if you're making curries, make it very light, very little oil in them. That helps to cut back on the total calories a lot. The next slide is about tips on the meal for iftar. So again, the concept is the same. You need to eat healthy, you need to have a balanced diet, you need to have foods from all the food groups. But more importantly, try avoid overeating, because this is the time when we feel like we haven't eaten for 18 hours and we have a license to eat as much as we want at this point. So we end up overeating a lot. Remember, after that, we're not doing much, so there's no activity. All the food that we eat is now being stored as excess fat in the body. So that's how we end up gaining weight. So iftar is the meal where we really have to be careful if we don't want to gain weight. Customarily, we open our fast with dates. Dates are packed with minerals and vitamins. They have fiber, but they also have quite a bit of sugar. We were never told in Islam to have 5 or 6 dates. It's just 1 or 2 at the most. So limit yourself to 1 if it's a big date, or 2 at the most if they are small dates. Fluid wise, make sure you're having a lot of fluid. You do need to replenish your body's fluids, because you've lost, it's going to be hot in the month of June as well. So you're going to be losing quite a bit of fluid. So we need to replace them. The best thing to replace fluids from the body is with water. Plain water is the best to drink. Try avoid squashes, carbonated drinks like Cokes, Pepsis, even Diet Coke and Pepsi. The carbonated drinks tend to have too much gas, and in your stomach it causes issues usually. So try and at iftar time avoid these drinks. If you want, you can use artificially sweetened drinks. So there are the Mio drops, there are Splenda sweetened other drops that come. You can use those in your water. Crystal Light is another brand that is out there. It comes in powdered sachet. It also comes in liquid drops. You can use those if you want, but moderation. Lassi is a very good choice. So low-fat yogurt, if you use that to make lassi, use Splenda to sweeten it, or a very little bit of salt in it, that's a very good choice to replace your fluids. Our iftar is usually, there has to be some kind of sweet dessert or mithai. And if you're having mithais and desserts every day of the week, this adds up too many calories. So watch out for these. This is where all the weight also comes from. So limit it to, like if you're having gulab jamun, 1 piece of gulab jamun and then nothing else, no custard, no pudding, no sevaiya, no, like 1 item only and a small portion of it. Not that I'm having only small portions, but I'm having a small portion of mithai and a small portion of custard and a small portion of sevaiya. That's a lot of calories over there. Fried foods is another big calorie choice where there's a lot of calories, and it's customarily always on our table. But we need to look at options, cooking options, which are other than frying. So when we're making samosas and pakoras, instead of frying, we could try pan fry. So just use a brush on a good non-stick pan and put oil on the non-stick pan with the brush instead of deep frying it. Pan fry kebabs like this. So it's not going to be really nice and crispy and brown. It may not look as good as the others, but definitely it's very healthy. It's acceptable to look at. Samosas can be baked. Again, you can use a brush if you want to put a little bit of oil on it and then put it in the oven. In the oven, it takes a little bit longer to bake, but they do come out quite reasonably crisp and brown. Another healthy choice is chole ki chaat, chickpea chaat, or mixed bean chaat. So you can use chickpeas, you can use kidney beans, you can use navy beans, black-eyed beans, mix the beans up, or have different beans different days. Add a lot of vegetables to it. Onions, tomatoes, bell peppers is a very good choice. Cucumber is a very good choice to go into it. Lemon seasoned with a little bit of chaat masala, not a lot of salt. Season more with lemon and dhania and pudina. This should give you more of flavor rather than too much of salt or chaat masala, but a little bit of chaat masala is okay. In terms of fruits, again, same rule of thumb. The ones with seed and the ones with skin are better choices, but watch the portions. It's very easy to eat 2 cupful of fruit salad at this time. It goes down very quickly, but 2 cupful of fruit salad is 60 grams of carbs. It's a lot of carbs to go in, and remember, these carbs are going in quickly and coming out quickly from your body. So we don't want too much of these kind of carbs. So if you want it, you can have a fruit or you can have fruit salad, but watch the portions. No more than 1 cup. Don't sweeten it with sugar, but use Splenda or stevia instead to sweeten it. Follow the plate method, and I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of the plate method. So the next slide shows you a picture of a fried egg, 1 roti and some salad. So if you look at it, a quarter of it is egg, which is protein, a quarter of the plate is roti, which is carbohydrate, and half the plate is vegetables. Although fried egg is not a very good choice, you could have a boiled egg there, you could have chicken curry or meat curry over there, you could have chickpeas over there, chole over there. So there are various choices. You can replace the bread with roti with bread if you want. You can replace the roti with barley or quinoa, or even a small portion of rice if you want. But 2 types of vegetables should fill up your plate. Now, they've put the vegetables very scantily on the plate. You can add up more to fill up. You can add a fruit to this, or you can add some lassi or milk to it to build up on the meal. This would be a good sehri meal with some fruit and milk. The next slide is another plate, which shows you perhaps a meal that could be equivalent to your dinner meal or iftar meal. So it also shows you a quarter portion is protein, which is chicken, a quarter portion of the plate is starch, which is rice or quinoa, and half of your plate is vegetables, 2 or 3 different types of vegetables, 2 or 3 different colors of vegetables. The vegetables are very important. It could be curry, it could be salads, but this is what fills you up, gives you lots of fiber. Whereas the starch and the protein are where all the calories are coming from. So make sure you cut out the fat, you cut out the visible saturated fat that you can see on the protein, the chicken or the meat, before you cook it. So this is, you can replace, of course, your rice could be roti, your rice could be changed to bread, it could be khubs, it could be pita bread, naan, your protein could be chicken, fish, meat, egg, that could vary. And you can add again a cup of fruit salad to it, and a glass of lassi and a couple of glasses of water, and that probably will fill you up. But I also want you to look at the amount of food on the plate. Generally, this plate is somebody who's an average eater. I will not say a big man. A big man may eat a little bit more than this, but if you add a fruit and milk to it, this amount for an average person is a lot of food. But generally our plates at iftar time would be double or triple this amount of food. We don't need that much. Just because we've been fasting doesn't mean we need to replenish like 3 times of what we've lost. We need small portions. It would be better if you can break the iftar meal and the dinner separate. So iftar could be at 8:30, and dinner could be after Taraweeh, maybe 11:30, whatever time you get back. But again, a smaller meal at that time as well. Remember, if you're eating at 8:30, 11:30, you're again eating at 3:34 for Sehri. So there isn't a lot of time. I would also like you to think about how you're going to manage yourself in Ramadan. So if you're going to have one big meal at iftar versus if you're going to have a small iftar and a small dinner after, have that in mind before you go to your doctor and explain that to him, because the medication needs to be adjusted based on how you're eating. If you're eating one big iftar meal, then the medications may be different, versus when you're having 2 small meals, a small iftar and a small dinner, the doctor may change your medication in a different way. So explain that to your doctor as well. Remember, non-Muslim doctors don't know this. We have to tell them, this is how I'm going to be eating. The next 3 slides, the last 3 slides, are just sample menus to give you examples of what a sehri meal could be, what an iftar meal could be, and what a dinner could be. So this one, the first one, is on sehri. You could have 1 serving of fruit. So it could be any one fruit. It could be an apple, orange, peach, pear, or it could be half a banana or 1 small banana. Then you need about 2 servings of protein, which could be 2 boiled eggs, or omelette with veggies, lots of veggies, or it could be 1 boiled egg with some low-fat cheese, or chicken, beef, or lamb curry, 3 to 4 ounces of chicken or beef or lamb in it, or it could be a cup of dal. Then you need some milk in it, so it could be milk or lassi or yogurt, whatever you like, but from the dairy group. You could have your tea, coffee. Make sure you use skim milk or 1% milk in it, and sweetener and not sugar. Lots of vegetables over here. So the vegetables you could add to your egg as in the form of an omelette. The vegetables could be in the form of a curry, or if you like salads, have salads. If you're using salad dressings, make sure you use light salad dressings and not regular salad dressings, because they are very heavy in total calories from fat. The next slide is on iftar. The iftar meal, again, from the starches or grains or carbohydrate group, about 1 to 2 servings. So I have a few examples here. It could be in the form of a chickpea salad, or a kidney bean salad, or a navy bean salad or chaat with vegetables such as onions, tomatoes, lemon, seasoning, peppers, cucumber, whatever you like. Or you could have 2 small samosas or 1 big samosa. Or you could have about 3 to 4 pakoras, or if it's dahi bade, you could have 2 small ones or 1 big one with yogurt, but again, skim milk or low-fat yogurt. So if you see, it's not a lot of food from this portion, because this is where all the carbohydrate, which are becoming sugar, is coming. The next food group is also carbohydrate, fruits. So again, 1 serving from this. It could be 1 date and half a cup of fruit chaat made with sweetener, no sugar, or it could be no date and 1 cup of fruit chaat, or it could be 1 fruit like an apple, orange, or half a big banana. The next one, lassi from milk group, it could be dairy group, sorry. It could be lassi, milk, or yogurt. So again, 1 cup of lassi or milk, and or 3/4 cup of yogurt. So the first 3 groups are where all the carbohydrates are coming from. So put together, if you see, we've already got 4 servings. 4 servings is equal to 60 grams of sugar. Just to give you an idea, 60 grams of sugar is about 12 teaspoons of sugar, or 12 packets of Tim Hortons sugar. The next group is others, fluids especially. So make sure you're drinking water rather than, we talked about carbonated drinks and sweetened drinks, so avoid those. Water is the best. Protein, it could be a kebab, it could be baked chicken, it could be chicken curry if you like, or beef curry, or it could be some cheese in the form of, if you're having, let's say, something on which you're grated cheese on top, that could be your protein. And then lots of vegetables. You can be creative and make a salad, or you can be creative and add your vegetables to your chickpea chaat, and that could give you some vegetables. The last slide is about a sample menu for dinner. It gives you again 2 servings from starch, 1 serving from milk. So it's a smaller portion. It's not bigger than the iftar meal. So it could be a small whole wheat pita bread, or it could be 2 small rotis or 1 big roti. It could be 2 slices of whole wheat rye or pumpernickel bread. It could be 2/3 cup of rice, but again, remember, rice is going to digest faster. Make sure you have protein, again, in the form of either chicken, meat, dal, eggs, cheese, chickpeas, lentils, any of those. You can bake them, you can barbecue them. June is going to be barbecue season, so perhaps that's a good option, because when you barbecue something, the fat drops down, so it's not very heavy in fat. So that's a very good method of cooking. Again, you could have lassi or water or yogurt or milk. At this time, we don't recommend, because dinner meal now is going to be about 11:30 after Taraweeh. So it's going to be very late. At this time of the day, fruits are not usually recommended, because they tend to put your fasting blood sugars really high then. So try and avoid fruits, but if you want, you can add 1 small fruit. But again, remember, the ones with the seed and the ones with the skin. Have lots of vegetables again to fill you up at this point. I hope these tips are going to help you make healthy choices during the month of Ramzan, so that you don't end up gaining weight at the end of Ramzan, but you end up healthier. Your blood sugars don't go too high, don't go too low, and you don't have any complications related to diabetes because of fasting. So we want Ramzan to be a healthy month where you can fast and you can spiritually benefit from that month. Please remember me in your prayers. Thank you.